what is point number one if you want to speak with a good command, good fluency? And what's this exercise that you need to do as a part of the communication gym? Number one, you need to read aloud for 15 minutes every day. Of all the 5 points, this one is the most important, right? Read aloud for 15 minutes every day. What can you read? Read anything that you want. Read a newspaper article, a passage from a magazine or book, or even famous speeches. Whatever you feel like reading, read that, but it has to be for 15 minutes a day. Now, let me explain why you should do this and how it's going to help your command and fluency while speaking. When you read aloud for 15 minutes every day, basically your mouth gets used to the language, right? And for a lot of us, our mouth is just not used to the English language or our language of business, right? So the minute you start doing it, your mouth gets used to it. And the minute your mouth gets used to it, you get a lot more confident while doing it. And that tends to improve your fluency and command over the language, right? So that 15 minutes makes a world of a difference for your mouth to get used to it. You know, you get used to how to pronounce words, how to say words, you get familiar with words. And that's never going to happen if you just read in your mind, because when you're reading in your mind, like you read an English newspaper, you feel like you know all the words, right? It goes very, very quickly. But the minute you start reading aloud, you realize so many words you don't know how to pronounce. You get stuck on so many words. You don't know how to do that, right? So that's the reason why your mouth getting used to it is the first reason why you should do it. The second reason why you should do it and how it helps you is your mind, when you read, if you read or read aloud, but especially when you read aloud, your mind forms subconscious patterns of how sentences are formed and how sentences are laid out, right? So it forms those patterns in your mind without you realizing. It doesn't happen in a conscious way, but a subconscious way. And then when you're speaking or writing, that tends to come out. And that's why typically, in most cases, if you are somebody that reads, you are often at least a good writer. And if you're somebody that reads a lot, you're often a good writer and a good speaker. You may get scared to do public speaking and stuff like that, like everybody does. But more often than not, a person that's a voracious reader or a person that reads a lot often is a good speaker and a good writer as well, right? Now, when you're doing this exercise, read aloud as if you are reading or narrating to an audience, right? So read like the audience is sitting ahead of you, right? Picture at least 3 to 4 people sitting ahead of you. So vary your tone of voice. If you learned about this already or you learn about it later, put stress on different words when you're speaking. Again, you could have learned about it or you learned about it later. Take appropriate pauses when you're speaking. So do each one of those things, right? When you're speaking. So talk like you're narrating to an audience, or read like you're a news reader reading the news, right? Exactly, have that kind of an approach. Record yourself in a way. Now, this is something which you need to do. Record yourself these 15 minutes that you do every day, and record yourself in a way where you're also demonstrating the right kind of body language. A good thing to get for your phone if you want to do this exercise is this, what is called a phone knob. So if you put it behind, you would have seen this thing. It kind of helps you place your phone as and when you want to, and that will help you record yourself in a better way. It costs $100 for you to do it, but kind of keep recording yourself. Ideally, record yourself in video, but if you don't want to record yourself in video, at least record yourself in audio, right? But ideally video. And then what you can do on a day-to-day basis, out of the 15 minutes, ideally record all 15 minutes, but if you say have storage space or some problems like that, at least start recording 5 to 8 minutes of every time you're kind of reading out aloud. If there's a laptop, you can use the camera on the laptop and record yourself, right? So use anything that's going to be easy for you to record yourself. And then constantly, on at least ideally on a daily basis, but at least like every 3 to 4 days, kind of audit your own videos, right? See your own videos, see how you're sounding, see how you're reading it, right? And the more you kind of go through those videos, you'll start seeing, oh, this is where I'm getting stuck. Is my body language right? Am I stressing on the right words? What tone am I using? So there'll be so much of self-learning that can happen from this, that will be amazing, right?